My name is Jeff Veely, and I'm a youth speaker. Ever since I can remember, I was comfortable on stage. It seemed like that's where I belonged. When I was 3 years old, I sang karaoke for the first time. I sang Frinkle Frinkle Yiddle Tar because I couldn't pronounce the words. And, whether it was theater, whether it was playing drums, whether it was singing, I always felt alive on stage. I always felt very comfortable there. But that was really the only place in life I felt comfortable. At school I was bullied, I was made fun of constantly. At home, my mom was both emotionally and physically abusive towards me. And it seemed like really the only place in life where people appreciated me was when I was performing something or singing something, and people would clap and I would get excited about that.
One of my biggest struggles in my life was probably my real dad leaving. That was really, really hard for me. And that's probably what started it all, right then and there, when my dad left. Because all I remember from when before I saw him again was him and my mom fighting and stuff like that. And they were really, really bad fights sometimes. It didn't get physical very much, but they were yelling and screaming at each other.
I've always had a problem with being bullied in school, so that really resonated with me up until now. So really the kids out there that seem like they're different, I find courage because I take myself and I say, if somebody would have spoke up for me, it would have made a big difference for me. If somebody would have said, hey, kids, stop it. You're bullying him. I think it would have helped me out a lot just to see that.
For me, growing up at home, things were pretty tough. I remember knowing, I knew that my mom loved me, but I didn't really know if she liked me. Parents, you kind of have to love your kids. You're supposed to love your kids, moms and dads, but I didn't know if she enjoyed being around me. I didn't know if she liked me. And so that was always the difficult thing for me is when my mom and I were together, did she really enjoy the time that we spent together? Did she really appreciate it?
I've struggled with anger my whole life. Whenever anyone I love gets threatened or gets hurt, I usually go out on the person, and I try not to hurt anybody. I'm trying to be a big softie, but sometimes it's hard.
By me not talking to anybody, I built up a lot of anger inside, and I started to feel isolated from everybody else. As I grew up, I would lash out at people for no reason and didn't really know why. At a very young age, I was diagnosed with ADHD, and I was different from all the other young kids that were in my class.
Wherever I was, whether it was school or home, I was out of control. I have ADHD, OCD, anxiety. And over a period of time in my life, I was given all sorts of different meds. And now, as someone that's worked in the social work field, I know what these things do, whereas when I was a kid, I had no idea what was being put into my body.
I have ADHD and I think a tiny bit of autism, and that was really hard for me. But sometimes I think I was the only one in the world. I used to think when I was a kid. It was and back then I didn't have my meds, so it was really hard.
I felt alone, neglected, hurt. I didn't feel like I had a place in the world, so I started having suicidal thoughts. My life just didn't feel right.
One of the hardest things for me was when I was 16 years old, my dad was playing this big show. He's a guitar player in a band, and I went and played with him, and on the way home we got a phone call that my dad had fallen off the back of the stage and had a really big accident. He wound up falling and shattering his entire ankle, and then 3 weeks later in the hospital he developed a massive blood clot in his lungs, and it killed him instantly. And I was just totally lost. I became really angry. I spiraled out of control. I was fighting with my mom constantly. Our fights were more physical than they had ever been before. And I remember when I was 19 years old, we got in this fight, and my mom called the police. remember thinking in that moment, like, what is going to happen to me right now? Like, I have all these dreams and goals, and it's just like going to go away in an instant because I'm going to get locked up and it's going to be gone. From that point forward, everything really changed. I surrendered all that anger and just decided I was going to start fresh.
Well, I think it was about like 3 or 4 years ago. I was about 8 or 9. I got to see my dad again. I get taken my. I haven't seen him since I was like 3, so it's like 5 or 6 years I haven't seen him. And well, and he all of a sudden he started like picking us up every week and stuff like that. And nowadays he picks us up every other weekend. So last year I went with him whole spring break. I learned that I am not a hurtful person, and that I don't have to be angry all the time, and I can be like a good person, and that's what I am now. I'm not always angry anymore.
The person who is now my mentor, he came alongside of me and he asked me something. He said, "Does your life make sense?" And of course I said no. He asked me, "Do you have a place in this world?" And I said, "I don't know." But he saw a young charismatic kid who had a lot of potential, who was ready to be brought out. So he got me involved with his youth group. His youth group consisted of about 4 youth, but it made me have a sense of belonging. It taught me how to interact with a lot of people, and it gave me purpose. I really find voice in speaking up for those who can't or don't speak up for themselves. It's a passion for me now, that since nobody never did it for me, I can do it for everybody else.
I'll never forget the first night I shared my story. All these kids came up and they like surrounded me. And they're like, "Oh dude, I related with this, and this really impacted me, and this was so deep. I can't believe that we both went through that." I was like so shocked. I never thought in my life that my story could impact somebody like that. I didn't think that my story really mattered. One of the biggest things that made a difference in my life is that adult, that social worker, giving me an opportunity to get in front of a group and share my story. There was one thing I could say to the mentors in my life that helped me out. I would just say thank you for pushing me. Thank you for hanging in there when it got tough and when I was resistant, when I pushed you away. Thanks for continuing to pursue me. And thanks for opening my eyes to things that I never thought I could do.
Well, one of the things I haven't said enough is just thank you. You were all so nice to me. No matter what I did, you were always there for me. You helped me so much. And I just know I can't thank you enough.
Thank you for everything you've done for me. You really brought me through those tough times. And you were the only one who believed in me. Believed that I have a purpose in my life. I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you.
What I tell young people today is sometimes in a moment of pain, you find your potential. In other words, you're in a rough situation and you find out what you're really made of. And when you get out the other side of that, you actually have something that you can use to change your life and other people's lives, change the world.